It's dry in here, I can say that, and there's lights, but there's no sun here. But nonetheless, it's good to have you here. And this of course, unless you're wondering where you are, this is the Core Pavilion, and today we have a golf cart registration program information meeting. And the folks at the front table here are largely responsible for spearheading the details into that. There's been a lot of meetings since last June, I would say, that took place with different groups, and the information was gleaned off of those meetings and consolidated, compiled, and put into the report that you see today, the draft. Now, there's the program is considered a policy, an operational policy. The rules will be in the rule book. And in either case, whether you have policies or rules, the board each year does review or gets reviews from the rules committee for recommendations for any changes. So what you see today might not be exactly the way it is going forward, and so if you have any information or have any suggestions, these are the guys to give it to, and they'll consider those kind of things as well. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and Steve is our Director of Emergency Services. He and Rod Birch. Rod is the Chairman of the Safety and Security Committee. And then at the other table, we have the first person nearest me is Chris Munley. He is the Deputy Director of our Security Department. And Keith Garblink on the end is our Director of Security. All these guys then are under the umbrella of public safety. So I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go on the website, look over the golf cart registration packet or not. As you said, it started back in June.
Talk louder. We can't hear you.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, that helps.
So it started back in June with Gene asking to put something together. Safety and Security, Rod Birch's group also had concerns about the current policy with golf cart registrations. And so we met many times, even with other staff and departments that were going to be involved in this process, because it does connect other departments as far as registration online or by paper in person. So other departments are touched by this too, as well as every membership out here. If you make a requirement where all golf carts have to have license plates, it's going to touch every membership out here. So I'm going to let Rod Birch talk about a little bit about his part in this, and then after that I have a little PowerPoint basically in reference to the golf cart registration packet. So Rod Birch from Safety and Security.
Thank you very much. Good morning. This all started last year, and we worked on it all year long. We've been looked at everything we could think of. And we've searched to try to make this as easy as possible on the members. We've done everything we could think of, and if there's something that we overlooked, we surely like to know about it, and we will look at it. This has been quite a process. We've been hearing a lot about people coming in, and it's been so hard for the public safety to recognize these carts that are coming in, and it's been a real struggle for them. And this was brought up to me by Keith in May, and when he brought this up, at that time, our chairman was Dennis King, and I brought that to Dennis, and Dennis felt that was something that we really needed to start working on. So we did that. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of resources, and many of the people in administration and management have helped us, and this has been quite a process for us. And we'd surely like to have anybody's suggestions, and from that I will turn it over to Steve and let him kind of go through what he has. And again, if you have any questions, please ask us. I'm more than happy to go out and look at your cart if you have a problem mounting the brackets. I've done that, and I will continue to do that. Steve has also done it, and so this is something that we'd really like you all to welcome. Thank you.
So we'll go through a little PowerPoint page by page here. It's only 15 slides, so it's not going to be PowerPoint by Deb. But anyway, I think that mic over there works. Or if you have a loud voice, by all means, stand up. We'll go through here, and it's open. So, as we go through it, don't hold your questions. Just, I'll try to pay attention to anybody that stands up that has comments or questions. So feel free to be involved. So the why, Rod kind of touched upon that, unauthorized entry into the park. To prevent unauthorized use of park resources, standardized park registrations, display heights, and display of numbers, to be able to quickly identify a car which has been stolen or involved in criminal activity or rule violations, to prevent persons from owning more than 2 carts, to prevent persons from conducting unauthorized sales, rentals of carts by manipulating cart numbers, to provide a system to readily identify carts with an expired registration, to improve the overall safety and security of members, associates, and authorized guests.
Steve, we bought our lot here in 2012, and when we bought our lot here, we did all the registration and everything. They told us, you need to have numbers so big, plates here and there, okay? Everybody knows that. All you have to do is enforce that. It's not a big deal. It's not, and it doesn't need to be inflated, no. There are many golf carts. I didn't notice until you guys decided
let me
to.
interrupt
No.
you just a second.
Decided
We
to
are
do this.
we are not here to debate the program. We're here to inform. The program is already.
Then why weren't we allowed to vote on something like
This
this?
park is not run by members. This park is run
Oh,
by.
Yeah, we own the park, but it's not run by us.
Absolutely, you have the right to vote.
It was when we
Yeah.
bought it.
You never put this to vote for us.
No, you have the right to vote for board members, you have the right to vote for bylaws. And we're always interested, that's why we have these meetings for information. But it's not that you don't count, that's not true at all. But,
So why are you having this
but at the
meeting?
same time, this meeting, the purpose of this meeting is to inform you, if you have any questions about the program, if you have any suggestions about the program, but the program has already been approved by the board, so it's gonna happen.
Well, that shouldn't be.
It could be changed though.
Yeah, things
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, it can be changed. It can be changed, that's why we said up front, I don't know if you were here yet, Rudy, that if you got any suggestions, rules and policies are changed. They are changed constantly, and the board looks at a number of those each year. So, but the fact is that the program has been approved in the draft that you see it. So, again, we want your input, but if you're opposed to the program, I think that it's not going to be the meeting that this is going to give you any satisfaction for your opposition, because the program is already been voted on, it's in. So if you got suggestions, that's fine. If you have questions about how it's going to be implemented. That's the reason for the program
Can
today.
I just say something?
Sure.
How many rangers, not the ones with carrying guns, how many rangers do we have in the park now?
8 full-time, 5 seasonal.
Okay, we've been here since the middle of May. I have not seen one ranger go down our street. We were out yesterday and at the water park, even the sticker for the 19 is not on some of the carts, but that's okay because we're gonna have license plates. But even, I mean, they're driving around, rangers are driving right by when they're out and about, and they're not stopping these people and saying, they gotta enforce the rules. And I heard that if my license plate is stolen, it's gonna cost me $200. Why am I being punished for something somebody else did?
I think it's highly unlikely that your license plate is going to get stolen, but at the same time, the reason that the fines are high for that is that we have had in the past, as Steve just mentioned, folks, members that are taking advantage of the system and this past week we have two members that had 3 carts each. And this would be a deterrent to that. I'm not going to say it's going to mitigate the whole thing, but
Penalize them.
How can that be? You're supposed to register your cart at the golf, at the,
how many license plates have been stolen off your cars since you've been driving?
never,
Zero.
never.
No, I don't think it's going to be a big deal for those of you that are honest. Pardon me?
You don't have license plates now, none have been stolen.
On your cars.
On cars.
I've never had them, so nobody out here has it either. So I don't see that happening. But anyway, let's
There's a will, there's a way.
I heard of a lot of people that have their dealer plates stolen. You go by and you see most of the people will have them on the inside of their car. So it's not a new point.
No, we don't have dealer plates, number one, so we're not gonna provide any dealer plates. So there will be a temporary plate, like if you come in and you got a new cart and you didn't have a cart before, there will be temporary plates until we order once a year.
Could we see a book of compiling all of these instances? You know, when I read this, it looks more like hearsay. There's gotta be an incident report for every one of these problems that you cited, and the 2 that you just cited.
I'll let you talk to Keith.
There are incident reports for the ones that, specific problems that we've encountered, but the rationale for the license plates goes far beyond that. It's not just the issues that we're seeing, and we can't put a number, but unauthorized access. How often does it happen? How often are carts coming in here? I don't know, because the only ones that we encounter are because they're causing an issue. It's rare that we encounter them in other circumstances. So that is a part of it, but again, that's not the whole rationale behind the license plates. And Steve and Rob will go into that and explain that. That's one reason. But at this point, there is nothing prohibiting or stopping somebody serving as a deterrent for bringing cars somewhere along the perimeter. There's multiple access points where cars can access. Put a number on it.
They
Drive
don't
around.
have a Sandy Pine sticker.
Yeah,
That's obvious.
Well, that's not that obvious, ma'am. When you're in a car and carts are going by the opposite
Then you should
direction.
be in golf carts.
Pardon?
Then you should be on a golf cart.
Golf carts are really not the appropriate vehicle to respond to emergencies and won't be able to carry all.
They go just as fast as your Jeep.
What, I'm sorry?
They go just as fast as the Jeeps do sometimes.
They can't go on the roads, ma'am. Every one of the patrol cars out there is medically equipped, AED equipped, and most of the time, the most efficient way for us to respond to an emergency is not by driving through the park. If I have a car that's, say, in phase 1, and we have a medical emergency in phase 6, the best way to get out there is to get out on public roads and drive around that way. So we've looked at that with bikes. Bike patrol. The bike patrol is, I like it because you have a lot of personal contact with the members. the problem with that is if I put people on bikes that can't carry the medical gear, and it's not gonna be a good response. If we have to respond to something where the gear is required, then they're gonna have to ride the bike back to the car and so forth. So that's kind of the issue with the car as well.
But I have a suggestion here. Steve has got a program he's doing, the 15 slides he's going to go through. Why don't we go through these 15 slides? Maybe we'll answer some of the questions that we've got now, and then do the questioning after we go through the.
Amen.
Good idea. Thank you, Rudy. Thanks, Rudy.
So, did anybody have anything that specifically deals, well, maybe we didn't talk about that somewhat with this slide, but we'll move on to the next slide here. So, the intent of this is to ensure the golf carts within Sandy Pines can be readily identified to a specific membership and deter trespass and use of facilities by others. Not only does it do that, but there is really no uniform standard out there for site numbers, placements. You know, as a staff person, I see a lot of golf carts. Sometimes people have 2 numbers up here on the top, 2 over here, and then just compliance. Even though you say, you know what, they're supposed to be 3 inches, they're supposed to be this, well, you know what, people do not comply with that. And I understand a lot of people do, but there has to be a solution to move forward, is my thoughts on that. To have everything that's standard, uniform, that you don't have to look here, there, where, hidden behind stuff. And this is a standard one forward. As it says here, the license plate will be aluminum, white background, embossed raised lettering, black letters, which will have the membership site numbers, be 4 digits. So instead of an N or a K or a D, it'll be like your building. If you were in site phase 4, it'd be 4, and then your site number 6, and then your site number if you were in phase 6. Those plates will also be reflective, and you know, we tried to design them so they look nice, so they aren't just a block of numbers. Any questions about the plates themselves? Sure. We'll also be providing VIN numbers on golf carts. Looking at golf carts and where the serial numbers are on golf carts, they could be all over the place. They can be on battery boxes, they can be up under the dash, they could be here, there, where. The purpose of the VIN numbers that Sandy Pines puts out there is so you don't have to chase and hunt on your golf cart to figure out where the serial number is. We didn't want people to go through that. It's a maze. If you go back different years of golf carts, had serial numbers in different places. It would just have been a mess for members to have to look for their serial numbers on their golf carts. So to get these VIN numbers, when you register your golf cart, get the plate, the public safety office will issue this VIN number, and they'll apply it to the steering wheel column of your golf cart. The size, that's probably what it's going to look like right there with a 4-digit number. It's going to go on your steering column where it's visible from the left, about 1.5 inches by 3/4. Any comments? And the cost of this VIN number will be included with the plate cost. So it's not any additional. If you do lose it, it'll be $5 for that. Sandy Pines rules permit the owner of a membership to have 2 golf carts. There's going to be 2 ways to register your golf cart. One online. A lot of people have computers. They're familiar with the park system to register guests and member access. That'll be one way. A form will be there. Most of it will be click on the box or drop down menus, so you don't have to type. Ask a few questions. You know, the color of the card. You know, it just has a few things to identify what the card is. Shouldn't take more than a minute or 2 to fill out each one for each card. Not a whole lot of typing. The second way is Second way is, if you don't have a computer, then you go to public safety. They'll give you a form. You just check the boxes. Has multiple boxes to get checked, and you hand it back into them, and they do all the entry for you and issue the plate and the VIN number. So cost, our estimated manufacturer distributing cost is $7 per plate. You know, I've heard people with concern saying, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. In reality, the cost to produce these, our cost is $6.79. That means that to have staff work on this and anything else involved, there's 21 cents left over. So really, are we making any money? No. We tried to do this project at the lowest minimum amount to implement it, at the lowest cost to the membership. So this is a one-time thing. So you get the plates between this August and next August, and then there's no more fees for plates. But you do have to pay the registration fee, just like it's always been in the past, the $15 registration fee per cart. After you pay for it, get the plates for the cart, that's it. The park isn't charging you every year for the plates. Any questions?
Plus for the sticker every year.
Once for plates, yeah, the registration sticker is the registration of $15. Plates are just a one-time thing. Once you got the plates, that's it. We're not charging year after year for plates. Any more questions on that?
transfer to change costs, right?
If the plates are site-specific, so say if you stay on the same site, they could be transferred to another cart, all right? If you move to a site, say if you own site 100 and move to site 200, that site 100 plate stays with that site. So at the time that you sell your site to somebody else, you make an arrangement with that new buyer that that plate stays with site 100. So all site numbers or license plates refer to the site. So if you move to 200 and you had a site number of 100, that plate number with site 100 doesn't go to site 200. It stays with that site. It keeps.
You said that if you just updated your card, you could just put the new plate on it, but now the registration number on the old card won't match the new card, so there must be some.
You have to, we'll get a little bit farther here, but you have to if you purchase a new cart, say you get rid of that cart, sell it to somebody, then there's paperwork there that you have to re-register the cart. But let's just follow through here. Any questions right now about?
I have a question.
Hold on, he's gonna talk first, and I'll get you.
Is there some help for people to have a plate, 2 plates on it? We don't even have 2 plates on a car.
Well, it probably goes back to the basis that the park requires site numbers front and rear, so that's following forward. Yep.
For security reasons, you had said that if you move, you should make arrangements with the person you sold your place to take that plate over. I wonder if that person doesn't have a golf cart or something, that would be a plate that could be freely flowing within, that people could say, hey, I got an extra plate.
Well, part of this program is if you don't, and that's the whole problem is, right now, if I want to have 5 carts, all I have to do is go stick site numbers on 5 carts.
No,
Well, you
it's a
can.
law.
It doesn't have a Sandy Pines sticker.
Well, and people that do that don't comply with the rules to begin with, so what would I?
Well, then why don't you find them?
So, can you repeat your question?
Then we didn't get to vote on this.
What I was saying
Oh, no.
is
It's not your
if
park,
you
it's
sell your
the
house,
board
They
runs
they
this park.
decide.
you have to give
Yeah.
Yeah, I
them-
know, but that's not their part, but we pay
I'm trying
our
to
dues.
listen to the lady back here. We can probably get everybody's questions answered if everybody just hangs on.
To repeat my question is, if we were to sell our house and give him our plates, and he does not have a golf cart, he could have like 2 of our plates, and say, hey, do you want this? I got an extra plate. Like, we could end up back in the same situation we're in right now.
And the park is saying that if you sell a cart, and I think that's in here too, that you need to turn that plate back into security. Otherwise, each year you're going to be charged the registration fee for that cart.
I would just suggest that if you sell your house, you have to turn your plates back in as well. And then you can reissue them to the, when they get a car without serial.
And I understand that it's a good suggestion. I don't know how much time that would take to take them in, take them back, chase people around. Not always, you know, when people make transactions out here all the time, some people do them via phone and other things. They aren't even here, so there's issues there. I understand what you're saying.
I understand where you're coming from. I just would hate to see this implemented.
Plus they can't
It's
see anywhere.
Just they don't go around and checking
because
like they used to
the
write.
integrity of
They don't do that.
people giving out the things.
Yeah, well, they don't
Thank you.
come over to phase 3 and it's down there. It used to be there 7 months.
So we're kind of getting in here, members owning, purchasing two golf carts. The member owner only has one golf cart, and purchase a second golf cart during the season. A temporary golf cart plate would be issued until the order is submitted to the manufacturer. And we're probably going to submit those orders each fall. So if you only have one golf cart and you want to purchase a second one, then we would provide you with a temporary plate until the manufacturers in the fall. Transfer of license plates to a different cart. Member owners may sell a golf cart, purchase a golf cart as a replacement. The golf cart license plate will be transferred to the newly purchased golf cart. The license plate assigned to the specific membership site. Number stays with the campsite. The member owner will be required to register the new golf cart online. A transfer fee of $15 per golf cart. The member owner must obtain a golf cart vehicle identification number if the golf cart purchase does not have a Sandy Pines vehicle identification number. The cost of the golf cart vehicle identification number is included in the license plate transfer fee. Any questions?
Wouldn't it be more advisable and cost effective to have two plates printed for each site at the very outset and just keep one in storage in case there is a situation where if they only have one house, maybe they want two?
Well, yeah, we don't want to, that would probably increase the cost of license plates if we have a bunch of inventory there. What we do plan to do to cut down on costs is we will have the manufacturers make some blank plates that are already printed with the paint and the logo and everything. We're going to have about 200 of those sitting to the side. So if you're the new member that needs or purchase a new golf cart, then the manufacturer can stamp those plates out without us going through the whole process. You know, if you order 200 plates, they're going to be quite a bit higher price than ordering 5,000 plates. So we do have something in the background that's going to help us with cost, but try to keep the cost down for everybody.
So you know now how many carts per site there are, correct?
We would go by, what we go by is what you have registered that you've got registration stickers for.
So why don't you just print all those?
We are, but say if you buy additional one, if you only have one golf cart right now and you buy another one, we have, so we have some blanks made up for those. So
I think 200 might be excessive.
it might be, but this is going to be around for a long time, so. And we don't want to have to do 1 or 5 plates at a time at $26 a piece, so that's what we're trying to stay away from, so.
Let me add to that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Everybody? It's a $250 setup fee for this. And, if we order 20 plates, we have to eat that because it's just not going to be covered. There's no way. even if you were fined $200, it's still not coming. So we have to remember that this is something that every time they have to set this up, it costs $250. And we're trying to keep the costs down. We try very hard to keep the costs down. And I'd like to mention one other thing. The serial number on these carts isn't the only thing that PS officer will be looking at. He'll be able to see, well, you know, if somebody stole your car, your license plate, and he happens to stop them, if that license plate doesn't match that number, that's the VIN for Sandy Pines, they're in trouble. And vice versa, you know, if you have, he stops them and you don't have the right color tab on it, that's another way. So it's a three-phase setup so that they can tell if they're in here and they're not supposed to be in here. Okay?
Steve, I have
Any
a
questions on that?
I have a question.
Hey, Steve, hold on. Before you ask, Gene and I are going to have mics here, and we're videotaping this. The whole reason is that we're going to put this on our park channel, 27.2, and online. It's also going to be very good information for people that can't attend. And when you talk, not on the mic, it's not going to pick up very well on the camera. So if you have a question, flag us down. I'll give you the mic here, and we can go back and forth so that everybody can hear questions.
Yeah, I just wonder, I have a golf cart with turn signals on it, and it has a plastic sleeve going down the steering column. There's no way you could have fixed this identification number to that plate and keep it on there. What's the solution for that?
Well, I guess I would come out and look and see what you got, and then I'd give you an answer. There's got to be a steering wheel column there, though, whether it be plastic. These VIN numbers are self-destructive, so if you try to pull them off, then they fall apart. So it isn't a VIN number that you can pull off and stick on something else. If you try to pull it off, it's going to break apart, fall apart. They're manufactured that way. So, but be happy if you want to stop down to the station if you have time sometime. Just stop down there, I'll look at it.
I'm sure a lot of carts are that way.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and that plastic just pulls right off.
So appreciate that comment. I'm not a golf cart mechanic, so. All right, any other questions about this?
Right here, Steve.
I have one golf cart owned by me, and the other is owned by my son-in-law. So there, how you do it was one by me and one by my son-in-law as an associate.
Are they both on your site? Well, you know, golf carts are supposed to be owned by the member, not by associates. So the golf cart really should be owned by, there shouldn't be any associates that have golf carts. It should be owned by you. So that would be the solution is both golf carts need to be owned by you as the member.
Okay.
Question here.
Yes. Is there going to be a license plate holder available to fasten onto your golf cart for the license plate, or is that available at the hardware store?
So the question is there going to be a holder available for the license plate? And the question is, I guess what he's saying, is there going to be a bracket available? We're working with a manufacturer up here in Hudsonville that's designing a bracket for us, a couple brackets, a flat bracket, an L-shaped bracket. I went around the park, looked at a lot of golf carts, and you know, it's just by looking at it, I think it's going to work. The other thing we heard this morning was Jeremy Villias from Superior Carts across the street said that he is with this program and he would be happy to install license plates for free over there. That's pretty nice on his part. But, you know, if you have concerns about your golf carts and mounting of the plates, by all means, just like the other gentleman here, stop down to the station, let me see where it is, and we'll try to resolve the problem of brackets and attachment to your golf cart. Let me keep going through this PowerPoint here.
Excuse me, Steve. Jeremy said he would mount this, all they have to do is bring the plate and the bracket. That's all they have to do, and he'll take care of mounting it, okay? Which is very nice of him.
So we got into this somewhat earlier, members may have one golf cart, sell a golf cart, resulting in owning no golf carts. Members may own 2 golf carts, sell 1 golf cart. During the season, Sandy Pines will not reimburse members for license plate fees. And we talked about this, a concern exists for members with spare plates still in their possession after the sale and not replacing golf carts, provide shared friends and neighbors. Each spring, members are billed accordingly to the number of golf carts registered with the park. For this to be accurate, members must also be responsible in indicating online the reduction of golf carts associated with their membership. If license plate is not surrendered to the member's account will be billed until it's surrendered. So if you get rid of a golf cart during the summer and you had 2 and you only have 1 now, you need to go into your online member access and delete the 1 or turn off the 1 that you had so you don't get charged next year. Therefore, member owners are required to surrender license plates when selling a golf cart and not replacing the cart. The golf cart license plate is returned into the public safety office. If the golf cart was part of the sale of the membership, then a form will be filled out at the time of closing indicating the transfer to the new owner. If the sale of membership does not include the golf cart, the disposition of license plates between the buyer and seller. If the license plates are not acquired in the sale by the buyer, then the buyer would be responsible for replacement license plate that costs them $200 each. Any question?
We got one back here, Steve.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, how big are the license plates? Are they full size or are they motorcycle size?
They're in between a regular vehicle plate and a motorcycle plate. They're 8 1/4 inches long and 6 inches in height. And the reason for that is we could have went with great big old car license plates, but those kind of real big on a golf cart and look kind of ugly. You could have went with motorcycle license plates, but the numbers just weren't large enough to be visible. So, go ahead, ma'am.
Why?
Hold on just a second. He's gonna bring you a mic.
I was looking at that last sentence. If the license plate are not acquired in the sale by the buyer, then the buyer would be responsible for replacement license plates that cost $200 each. Why would that be his responsibility and not the seller?
Well, when you have I guess it's between the buyer and seller. The park's really staying out of the thing. The $200 is really to prevent people from handing their golf cart plates out and sharing them here and there and what. So that kind of keeps it to the side.
I just think that's outrageous to charge something like that for something that may happen. And I assume it'd be very seldom that it happens. So every person that comes into the park, if they don't buy the cart from the people who they're buying their trailer from, would automatically have to pay another $200 just to have a golf cart in here.
There's going to be a form at the time of the sale and a checkoff list for people to check off to make sure that they get the plates, so they aren't missing out on that. But it's really a buy-sell thing between the buyer and the owner.
Well, I just can't see how Conway can charge $200 for that.
Well, you have to also remember that once the seller transfers it to the buyer, there's no recourse for Sandy Pines if you don't get the plate back. So that, again, these are not going to be an issue for people who are doing business on a day-to-day basis for the most part. These are for the nefarious people that want to take advantage of the system. So like said in this thing earlier, when you go to close, those things should be taken care of there. Where Sandy Pines wants to step away from it is with the receivable. In other words, we can send a bill to anybody outside the park. They're no longer a member. The chances are pretty strong we're not going to get anything. So there's no teeth to that. So now we put it back onto the buyer and say, just make sure that you get what you deserve in this sale. And that's really all it says. You do that, there's no money involved. So.
Well, what if you buy a lot and it has no golf carts and you just want to add one? Would that also include $200?
No. That would be a regular registration, just like you do now.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, if I have a plate that's lost or stolen or damaged, why can't the park give us a temporary plate, because you're gonna have temporary plates, rather than charge me $200, get a temporary plate from you people, and then when the plates are done yearly, get another one stamped, and save that $250 that you're talking about. You're charging us $200 for a plate that gets lost or stolen. You people have temporary plates there. You can issue them to us, and it's gonna save the membership $200 per plate, is all I'm saying.
Well, I think, let me go two different routes, is that the intent of the $200 or the $100 for a lost plate is to keep things accountable so people aren't circumventing the rules, all right? I think there's also gonna be some judgment involved there. So if you come to me and you do a theft report and say that, my golf cart license plate was stolen, there's gonna be some considerations on down the line here. So it's not a hard and fast thing, but the purpose is so people just don't come and say, I lost a plate, so then I can have 3 or 4 golf carts, or I can give it to friends, or whatever. I think that's the intent, it's just accountability.
Well, it looks like you have to remember, if you're just reading is what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying, but we have to put it out there hard too.
One other thing, if you have a damaged plate and you bring it in, then that's gonna make a difference. Because as long as we have that damaged plate, then we don't have that any place where it's not displayed.
$200 for the new plate.
Any other questions, yeah?
Where are we supposed to put those on our golf cart? Because you have that big bumper sticking out.
All right, we'll get to a little frame here and we can talk about that. Let's just keep going through the PowerPoint here and answering questions. We kind of talked about this. Golf cart license plates stay with the campsite that the site number corresponds with, or are turned into the public safety office. License plates are not transferable to the campsite, so if you, as I said earlier, if you have site 100 and you sell that and move to site 200, the plates don't go with you. If a member purchases a membership at another campsite, the member will have to arrange to obtain a golf cart license plate from the campsite seller or purchase replacement golf cart license plates for the purchased campsite. Temporary golf cart license plate will be issued and a replacement golf cart license plate will be ordered by the park as requested by the new owner. Any questions? Lost, stolen, damaged plates, we kind of touched upon that. The cost was determined to deter individuals from purchasing additional golf cart license plates for a third or more golf carts. Replacement for a damaged license plate, $100 each. Member owner would have to surrender damaged plate for replacement to be ordered at a cost of $100 each. Replacement cost for lost or stolen replacement golf cart license plates, $200 each. Any questions? I know we touched upon that already.
We got one back here, Steve.
So this is about
about the overall strategy of this. Now, I have had a license plate stolen off of a car before, and it happened at a time when the car was parked and not being used on a daily basis, which is when these things tend to happen. I'm normally out here on my site on weekends, not during the week, and not at all during the off-season, after it's closed in October. So we have a possibility here where somebody could go into my unlocked tarp-covered shed, take 4 plates out, and I bill $800 for this. Or I could just stop having golf carts and drive my car around the site, around the park, which is really not what you intend, I'm sure.
As I said earlier, I think instances like that will be based on a case-by-case instance. So if you make a theft report to public safety, some judgment's going to be used there. So, but the deterrent is so people do not have additional golf cart license plates and for accountability. So I would say you have the stolen license plates, you go to the public safety office, you make a report, there's going to be some consideration done there.
Steve, how easily do those golf cart plates come off? Like if we have our golf carts are sitting out all winter long, I'd be willing to remove my plate and take it in, so it's not sitting there all winter, but how easily do those come off and be put back on?
Well, it depends on how you attach them. Now, we have looked at like anti-theft screws and bolts that we get for those, which aren't very much, that probably prevent most of that. But, you know, if I can buy the tools, somebody else will or can, but I'll usually probably if somebody steals.
Looks like we're getting ready to start, so we're going to record.
Jess, were you just using these?
Yeah, I left it on. Did the battery die?
There we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's dry in here, I can say that, and there's lights, but there's no sun here. But nonetheless, it's good to have you here. And this of course, unless you're wondering where you are, this is the Core Pavilion, and today we have a golf cart registration program information meeting. And the folks at the front table here are largely responsible for spearheading the details into that. There's been a lot of meetings since last June, I would say, that took place with different groups, and the information was gleaned off of those meetings and consolidated, compiled, and put into the report that you see today, the draft. Now, there's the program is considered a policy, an operational policy. The rules will be into the rule book. And in either case, whether you have policies or rules, the board each year does review or gets reviews from the rules committee for recommendations for any changes. So what you see today might not be exactly the way it is going forward, and so if you have any information or have any suggestions, these are the guys to give it to, and they'll consider those kind of things as well. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and Steve is our Director of Emergency Services. He and Rod Birch. Rod is the chairman of the Safety and Security Committee, And then at the other table, we have the first person nearest me is Chris Munley. He is the Deputy Director of our Security Department. And Keith Garblink on the end is our Director of Security. All these guys then are under the umbrella of public safety. So I'll turn it over to you.
So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go on the website, look over the golf cart registration packet or not. As Jason said, it started back in June.
Talk louder. Can't hear you.
All right, how about now? So it started back in June with Gene asking to put something together. Safety and Security, Rod Birch's group also had concerns about the current policy with golf cart registrations. And so we met many times, even with other staff and departments that were going to be involved in this process, because it does connect other departments as far as registration online or by paper in person. So other departments are touched by this too, as well as every membership out here. If you make a requirement where all golf carts have to have license plates, it's going to touch every membership out here. So I'm going to let Rod Birch talk about a little bit about his part of this, and then after that I have a little PowerPoint basically in reference to the golf cart registration packet. So Rod Birch from Safety and Security.
Thank you very much. Good morning. This all started last year, and we worked on it all year long. We've been looked at everything we could think of. And we've searched to try to make this as easy as possible on the members. We've done everything we could think of, and if there's something that we overlooked, we'd surely like to know about it, and we will look at it. This has been quite a process. We've been hearing a lot about people coming in, and it's been so hard for the public safety to recognize these carts that are coming in, and it's been a real struggle for them. And this was brought up to me by Keith in May, and when he brought this up, at that time, our chairman was Dennis King, and I brought that to Dennis, and Dennis felt that that was something that we really needed to start working on. So we did that. We spent a lot of time, a lot of resources, and many of the people in administration and management have helped us, and this has been quite a process for us. And we'd surely like to have anybody's suggestions, and from that I will turn it over to Steve and let him kind of go through what he has. And again, if you have any questions, please ask us. I'm more than happy to go out and look at your cart if you have a problem mounting the brackets. I've done that, and I will continue to do that. Steve has also done it, and so this is something that we'd really like you all to welcome. Thank you.
So we'll go through a little PowerPoint page by page here. It's only 15 slides, so it's not going to be PowerPoint by Deb. But anyway, I think that mic over there works. Or if you have a loud voice, by all means, stand up. We'll go through here, and it's open. So, as we go through it, don't hold your questions. Just, I'll try to pay attention to anybody that stands up that has comments or questions. So feel free to be involved. So the why, Rod kind of touched upon that, unauthorized entry into the park. To prevent unauthorized use of park resources, standardized registrations, display heights, and display of numbers to be able to quickly identify a car which has been stolen or involved in criminal activity or rule violations, to prevent persons from owning more than 2 carts, to prevent persons from conducting unauthorized sales, rentals of carts by manipulating cart numbers, to provide a system to readily identify carts with an expired registration, to improve the overall safety and security of members, associates, and authorized guests.
Steve, we bought our lot here in 2012, and when we bought our lot here, we did all the registration and everything. They told us, you need to have numbers so big, plates here and there, okay? Everybody knows that. All you have to do is enforce that. It's not a big deal. It's not, and it doesn't need to be inflated, no. There are many golf carts. I didn't notice until you guys decided
let me
to.
interrupt you just a second. We are not here to debate the program, we're here to inform. The program's already.
Then why weren't we allowed to vote on something like this?
This park is not run by members. This park is run
Yeah, we own the park, but not by us.
Absolutely, you have the right to vote.
It was when we
Yeah.
bought
You
it.
never put this to vote for us.
No, you have the right to vote for board members, you have the right to vote for bylaws. And we're always interested, that's why we have these meetings for information. But it's not that you don't count, that's not true at all. But,
So why are you having this
but at the
meeting?
same time, this meeting, the purpose of this meeting is to inform you if you have any questions about the program, if you have any suggestions about the program. But the program has already been approved by the board, so it's gonna happen.
Well, that shouldn't be.
It could be changed though.
Yeah, things
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, it can be changed. It can be changed, that's why we said up front, I don't know if you were here yet, Rudy, that if you got any suggestions, rules and policies are changed. They are changed constantly, and the board looks at a number of those each year. So, but the fact is that the program has been approved in the draft that you see it. So, again, we want your input, but if you're opposed to the program, I think that it's not going to be the meeting that this is going to give you any satisfaction for your opposition, because the program is already been voted on, it's in. So if you got suggestions, that's fine. If you have questions about how it's going to be implemented, that's the reason for the program.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
How many rangers, not the ones carrying guns, how many rangers do we have in the park now?
8 full-time, 5 seasonal.
Okay, we've been here since the middle of May. I have not seen one ranger go down our street. We were out yesterday, and at the water park, even the sticker for the 19 is not on some of the carts, but that's okay because we're gonna have license plates. But even, I mean, they're driving around, rangers are driving right by when they're out and about, and they're not stopping these people and saying, they gotta enforce the rules. And I heard that if my license plate is stolen, it's gonna cost me $200. Why am I being punished for something somebody else did?
I think it's highly unlikely that your license plate is going to get stolen, but at the same time, the reason that the fines are high for that is that we have had in the past, as Steve just mentioned, members that are taking advantage of the system and this past week we have two members that had 3 carts each. And this would be a deterrent to that. I'm not going to say it's going to mitigate the whole thing, but
Penalize them.
How can that be? You're supposed to register your car at the golf, at the.
how many license plates have been stolen off your cars since you've been driving?
Never.
Zero.
Never.
No, I don't think it's going to be a big deal for those of you that are honest. Pardon me?
We don't have license plates now, none have been stolen.
On your cars.
On cars.
Yeah, I've never had them, so nobody out here has it either. So I don't see that happening. But anyway, let's
Let's
The will, there's a way.
I've heard of a lot of people that have their dealer plates sold. You go by and you see most of the people will have them on the inside of their car. So it's not a new point.
No, we don't have dealer plates, number one, so we're not gonna provide any dealer plates. So there will be a temporary plate, like if you come in and you got a new cart and you didn't have a cart before, there'll be temporary plates until we order once a year.
Could we see a book of compiling all of these instances? You know, when I read this, it looks more like hearsay. There's gotta be an incident report for every one of these problems that you cited, and the two that you just cited.
I'll let you talk to Keith.
Give it a second. We'll get back to you.
There are incident reports for the ones that, specific problems that we've encountered, but the rationale for the license plates goes far beyond that. It's not just the issues that we're seeing, and we can't put a number, but unauthorized access. How often does it happen? How often are carts coming in here? I don't know, because the only ones that we encounter are because they're causing an issue. It's rare that we encounter them in other circumstances. So that is a part of it, but again, that's not the whole rationale behind the license plates. And Steve and Rob will go into that and explain that. That's one reason. But at this point, there is nothing prohibiting or stopping somebody serving as a deterrent for bringing cars somewhere along the perimeter. There's multiple access points where cars can access. Put a number on it.
They don't have a Sandy Pine sticker. That's obvious.
Well, that's not that obvious, ma'am. When you're in a car and carts are going by the opposite
Then you
direction.
should be in golf carts.
Pardon?
Then you should be on a golf cart.
Golf carts are really not the appropriate vehicle to respond to emergencies and won't be able to carry all.
They go just as fast as your Jeep.
What, I'm sorry?
They go just as fast as the Jeeps do sometimes.
They can't go on the roads, ma'am. Every one of the patrol cars out there is medically equipped, AED equipped, and most of the time, the most efficient way for us to respond to an emergency is not by driving through the park. If I have a car that's, say, in phase 1, and we have a medical emergency in phase 6, the best way to get out there is to get out on public roads and drive around that way. So we've looked at that with bikes. Bike patrol. The bike patrol is, I like it because you have a lot of personal contact with the members. The problem with that is if I put people on bikes that can't carry the medical gear, and it's not going to be a good response. If we have to respond to something where the gear is required, then they're going to have to ride the bike back to the car and so forth. So that's kind of the issue with the car as well.
But I have a suggestion here. Steve has got a program designed, the 15 slides, we'll go through. Why don't we go through these 15 slides? Maybe we'll answer some of the questions that we've got now, and then do the questioning after we go through the.
Amen. Good idea. Thank you, Rudy.
Thanks, Rudy.
So, did anybody have anything that specifically deals, well, maybe we didn't talk about that somewhat with this slide, but we'll move on to the next slide here. So, the intent of this is to ensure the golf carts within Sandy Pines can be readily identified to a specific membership and deter trespass and use of facilities by others. Not only does it do that, but there is really no uniform standard out there for site numbers, placements. You know, as a staff person, I see a lot of golf carts. Sometimes people have 2 numbers up here on the top, 2 over here, and then just compliance. Even though you say, you know what, they're supposed to be 3 inches, they're supposed to be this, well, you know what, people do not comply with that. And I understand a lot of people do, but there has to be a solution to move forward, is my thoughts on that. To have everything that's standard, uniform, that you don't have to look here, there, where, hidden behind stuff. And this is a standard going forward. As it says here, the license plate will be aluminum, white background, embossed raised lettering, black letters which will have the membership site numbers, be 4 digits, so instead of an N or a K or a D, it'll be like your billing, if you were in site phase 4, it'd be 4 and then your site number 6 and then your site number if you were in phase 6. Those plates will also be reflective. And, you know, we tried to design them so they look nice, so they aren't just a block of nut numbers. Any questions about the plates themselves? Sure. We'll also be providing VIN numbers on golf carts. Looking at golf carts and where the serial numbers are on golf carts, they could be all over the place. They can be on battery boxes, they can be up under the dash, they could be here, there, where. The purpose of the VIN numbers that Sandy Pines puts out there is so you don't have to chase and hunt on your golf cart to figure out where the serial number is. We didn't want people to go through that. It's a maze. If you go back different years of golf carts, had serial numbers in different places. It would just have been a mess for members to have to look for their serial numbers on their golf carts. So to get these VIN numbers, when you register your golf cart, get the plate, the public safety office will issue this VIN number and they'll apply it to the steering wheel column of your golf cart. The size, that's probably what it's going to look like right there with a 4-digit number. It's going to go on your steering column where it's visible from the left, about 1.5 inches by 3/4. Any comments? And the cost of this VIN number will be included with the plate cost. So it's not any additional. If you do lose it, it'll be $5 for that. Sandy Pines rules permit the owner of a membership to have 2 golf carts. There's going to be 2 ways to register your golf cart. One online. A lot of people have computers. They're familiar with the park system to register guests and member access. That'll be one way. A form will be there. Most of it will be click on the box or drop down menus so you don't have to type. Ask a few questions. You know, the color of the card. You know, it just has a few things to identify what the card is. Shouldn't take more than a minute or 2 to fill out each one for each card. Not a whole lot of typing. The second way is if you don't have a computer, then you go to public safety. They'll give you a form. You just check the boxes. It has multiple boxes to get checked, and you hand it back into them, and they do all the entry for you and issue the plate and the VIN number. So cost, our estimated manufactured distributing cost is $7 per plate. You know, I've heard people with concern saying, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. In reality, the cost to produce these, our cost is $6.79. That means that to have staff work on this and anything else involved, there's 21 cents left over. So really, are we making any money? No. We tried to do this project at the lowest minimum amount to implement it, at the lowest cost to the membership. So this is a one-time thing. So you get the plates between this August and next August, and then there's no more fees for plates. But you do have to pay the registration fee, just like it's always been in the past, the $15 registration fee per cart. After you pay for it, get the plates for the cart, that's it. The park isn't charging you every year for the plates. Any questions?
Plus for the sticker every year.
Once for plates, yeah, the registration sticker is the registration of $15. Plates are just a one-time thing. Once you got the plates, that's it. They're not charging year after year for plates. Any more questions on that?
Yeah, transfer to change costs, right?
Plates, if the plates are site specific, so say if stay on the same site, they could be transferred to another cart, all right? If you move to a site, say if you own site 100 and move to site 200, that site 100 plate stays with that site. So at the time that you sell your site to somebody else, you make an arrangement with that new buyer that that plate stays with site 100. So all site numbers or license plates refer to the site. So if you move to 200 and you had a site number of 100, that plate number with site 100 doesn't go to site 200. It stays with that site. It keeps these plates. It's not pre-thought of as far as to go on this tool, but there are screws, bolts you can get that are anti-theft that prevent the easy removal of those screws.
Could you somehow make that information of, there's a particular type of screw or bolt that's anti-theft available in a newsletter or something, so that we will all know about that, or even for Jeremy across the street, that those anti-theft screws and bolts can be used?
Sure, we could do that. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
Here, why don't you borrow my mic so we can hear you?
I'm sorry I wasn't here for the whole thing, but why is there $100 each for replacement of a damaged license plate? And then you have the surrender plate, so you have the numbers, it's not being circulated anywhere. And then the replacement has to be ordered for $100.
Well, you know, when you have plates manufactured and you order 10 plates versus 5,000, and there's a setup fee of $250 to do it, we aren't going to get those same plates at $7 a piece.
Right.
There's going to be cost involved there. The rest is that we don't want to have a bunch of floating plates around where people say this, that, it's lost, it's.
Well, this is just for damage.
If you have the damaged plate and you return it, yeah, it's $100. There's going to be setup fees and costs that we do, but eventually that 200 is going to run out, and I don't know when that's going to be.
Right, but charging somebody $100 in the spring, if you're going to have to order a set number again.
Well, in the fall we'll order. In the fall, once the season's done, probably November, December, we're going to do that.
Who is going to,
Wait, Rudy, hold on, you got one back here.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment that if our site number is on the license plate, we could also be diligent and if we had to replace our plate, looking around for someone driving around with our site number on their plate to find the stolen plate. You know, because someone else is going to be driving around with your site number on their car, correct?
That's correct, yeah. You know, the thing about the park is though, we always think about the negative and the small percentage, but even car plates out here, if you lose your trailer plate out here, we have a lot of honest people who will drop that off over at the safety security office. So even if you did lose it, unless somebody truly stole it, somebody's going to be honest enough to hand it in. There's a lot of honest people here.
damaged golf license plate, who is going to make the decision of whether or not a license plate is damaged?
It's going to be you. If you say it's damaged and you bring it in for a replacement, then you're the one determining. Unless you're missing half of the plate and they say, well, you only got 2 site numbers, then they'll have to. But if you come up there and say that, you know, this thing looks ugly, and that's defined by you, then you're going to get a replacement.
Yeah, but supposing I think it isn't ugly, and somebody else going to have the authority to say, yes, that is a damaged plate, you must replace it.
I would say that we come to the point when they can't read the site numbers on the plate. Then it's a pretty simple thing.
They can't tell the site number, you know. I'd like to make one other comment about the lady that was just asking a question about $100. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? These plates, they're $250. Even if we ordered at the end of the year and say we had 10 plates, it is gonna still cost the park. It is, there's no way. It costs $250 just to set it up, period. So even if you were the only one and needed that plate, then they're still gonna have to eat that $150 that is left. So, you know, most generally, that's not gonna happen because we do have the stamp plates, and hopefully that'll cut that down, that cost, but we still have a cost. It's not gonna go away, the cost of it, I'm saying.
But that still doesn't make sense. I understand that it's that much, but you have, you're 200 extras. How much does the 200 cost?
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
What's the cost per plate? $7?
About $7. So you're right, it's about $1,400 for inventory.
I mean, you're not building another pool here, so I think you could put it like higher.
Well, you know, I look at it this way. You have people coming into this park that don't belong. You're paying for them, it's just one, okay? If it's just one, I don't like that fact, because I don't like paying for somebody else to use this park and having to pay to keep it up. I mean, you're paying for that. Pardon?
I know I belong to a 2,000 plus place down in Orange, and all of a sudden, they found one person using the pool that wasn't supposed to, so now they have to drag everybody out the pool, they have to show their little card, blah, blah, blah.
I understand that. And that, it's not fair, I understand that. But I don't think you should feel bad at $7 a plate. We've tried to keep this down. We've looked at everything we could look at to keep it down. And, you know, we're trying to keep it down. And it's how it is. Because these people out here, when they set up something, they charge for it. It's just like when we build a bracket. That guy charges a setup fee every time we have to order. Yes, the setup fee is always the same, but the more you order, the less it costs you. So, you know, and so that's really where it falls. I hate to see it that way, but that's kind of the way it is. I understand what you're saying, but it bothers me a lot when people come in here, and I know there's a lot. I know people seem to think that this doesn't happen, but I'll tell you, I've caught it myself. In fact, I caught it yesterday. Somebody had a little, like a cardboard thing on it, and they had number 0101. That's what they had on there. So, and these guys, the PSO officers, they can't be in every place to see all this. I report it if I see it, and that's what I think everybody should do and understand. If you see something, say something. Don't keep it to yourself. Say something to him. I've called Keith before. He takes care of it, and that's what we need. We need people to say something when they see it.
The reason for the license plate, what I can say, is the illegal entry that is happening here in the park. Back in the day when I was on the board, I was the one who said we need a $100 fine for illegal entry. Now this is not working. We're still getting people coming into the park illegally. There's one way the license plate is another tool that we can use to stop illegal entry.
That's correct. That's correct.
License plates aren't going to stop illegal entry. There's nothing will. But I have another question on damaged license plate. I have a damaged license plate. I have to wait potentially 2, 3, 6 months to get that replaced, correct? So my golf cart is going to have one good license plate on the front, one temporary on the back. How do you instruct your officers to, do me or my kids get stopped every time I pass a PSO to check, or have you guys addressed that at all? No. Number one, we don't have the resources to stop you every time. And number two, if you have one of our temporary plates on the back and a license plate on the front, you're operating valid, and that's what's going to be assumed. Those plates are issued by us, and I wouldn't say it'd be impossible for somebody to duplicate them, but it'd be pretty difficult. And no, you're not going to be stopped. Word on Bree, I appreciate what you said on unauthorized entries. Again, I can't give you an exact number on how many unauthorized entries take place in the park. I'll tell you this much, it happens every single day. There's not a single day that there's not people coming into this park that have had no background investigation, that are in here using your resources in our park property that we know nothing about. Like Rudy said, does this solve that issue? It doesn't solve the issue completely, but it certainly makes it more difficult. And it makes it very difficult for somebody who, say, lives outside of the park or who's transporting a cart in the proximity of the park. Vehicles are harder to get into the park, right, because of their size, but there's multiple points that carts can enter. You can drive a cart on a trailer over to Phase 3, you can drop one over by Diane's, you can bring it over to the golf course. These are all things that we see. And once you're in the park, again, if you have that number that's on there, for the most part, you're not going to get stopped. Seeing the expiration stickers, that's not reasonable. On carts with the amount of traffic that's in here, that you can visually see those. They're not visible. So they don't stand out, and we're seeing incidents of that. We're seeing numerous incidents of that. In some cases, we've actually found that there's people that have had carts outside the park for years, and they're in here every year. They're in here every week using your resources. That upsets me, because they're stealing from the park and they're stealing from you guys. Will this fix everything? No, it won't. There's still people coming in on foot. There's people getting scanned in by other people, inappropriate card use and so forth. But it certainly gives us an opportunity to cut down on some of it, more accountability. Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, did you still have a question? Yeah? And then there's one back here.
Did you look at all at the idea of metal, 3D printing the plates? My son does that, and I don't think there would be a $250 setup cost for that type of thing, and it's much more customizable.
Well, I guess I would have to leave that up to Steve. I'm not real sure about what, I'm sorry,
He said really good every aspect to keep the cost low. This would certainly be that.
Well, it's something that we could look into. We're quite a ways along with the manufacturer now, but if you want to send your information to me, Steve at sandypines.com, I'd be happy to look at it.
Yeah, if we know about it, I mean, you know, it's not something that we won't look at. I mean, that's what we're looking for, actually. We're looking for other people to give us maybe some other alternatives.
Going forward then, can we change the name of the $15 annual registration fee? The cart's going to be completely registered with the 3 stickers on it, and that. So why don't we call that a revenue fee then?
I don't know if I exactly understand. Are you talking about the $15,
Registration fee now.
which is a sticker?
The carts are going to be
yearly register. So, why call the registration?
It's a yearly registration fee.
Yes, it's a yearly registration fee. In other words, every year it changes color. Just like your stickers do now, that people place all over and nobody can find, it's gonna be a different color every year.
I think, if I understand it right, Rod, he's wondering why that sticker couldn't be called something else, other than registration sticker. So, it'd be a renewal sticker.
Renewal fee, yeah,
Whatever the name you
renewal
want to
fee,
give it.
yeah.
Registration implies you gotta be registered every year.
Right, I see what you're talking about. I understand.
You'll be able to see it on the plate, just like your car. There's one right here.
Yes, I just have several questions, and this goes back before this all was decided. The two terms that were continually referenced was that this has happened, there's numerous, quote unquote, carts arriving in our park using quote unquote bogus numbers. I'll go back to the same thing, then penalize them, not us. And I want to know the last time, Steve, that this rules that are already on the book, 3-inch contrasting numbers, and your membership tag on your cart was enforced. What year?
I think, I can't talk for Keith right now.
You were in charge at that time, Steve.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, it's a constant thing. There's a lot of things going out here, just like Keith says, there's a lot of rules to enforce. And we even had golf cart check lanes.
That
You know what happened at golf cart check lanes? We would have people become very irate. When you just, and all it was repair and report violations, meaning all you had to do is go in, correct the numbers, come up there, have one of the rangers, initially you got it corrected, people had fits.
The word you used, quote unquote, was boisterous.
That's
and
exactly right. It was
boisterous.
probably even more than that.
Okay.
But on a daily basis, when anybody's out here, there's a lot of things to take care of. Not just site numbers, but the question is, prior to that, when I look at things, I look at what happened before that. So why didn't the membership or various members out here, when I go out here today, I can probably go right out here today, and I can see golf carts that aren't compliant with the rule. So the question really is, as a membership, if you didn't want us to have to make an improvement, why didn't you take care of the business to begin with?
Because you didn't enforce it. That's the key word.
I'm saying you go back one step because people didn't do what they should have did.
You didn't
That's
tell them.
why, oh yeah, it's been in the newsletter, it's in the rule book.
It's called
to say-
ENFORCE. It has not been enforced.
Well,
You need to be more civil, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm fine with people. I know sometimes people get a little upset about things, but I look at this as moving forward. And I go back one step and I say, all right, so why is that not working? And it hasn't worked. Otherwise, I could go out in the park. If you went out here and looked, how many people have license plates in their car out, on their vehicles out here, their autos? I could probably say, without going around and looking, there's probably 99.9% of the people that have license plates on their cars out here. If I had to think to myself and say, how many people out here have the correct site numbers on their golf cart right now, can I say 99.9? No, because people are not in compliance. That's why we are moving forward with something that will work. That's exactly the reason. Provided people would have taken care of it, we ask of people to do a lot of things. In the newsletters, this, that. You know, we actually sometimes beg people to take care of things. It don't happen. I understand sometimes too, from working here for so many years, if I come out here on a Friday evening, am I thinking about my site numbers? Or am I here with my family to enjoy myself? That's probably part of it. People don't mean not to comply, but it's just not important. I understand that. But this would make an improvement of a compliance that everybody has these. They're the same, they're standardized. I understand that.
I left the water park yesterday and drove to the ranger station. There were 10 carts that did not have front numbers. So why aren't they being stopped, made to comply, and not penalize the rest of the membership? I don't get that. And when you say there were safety checkpoints, I've been here 25 years. I've never been involved in a safety check. And if you really think these people became boisterous now that they're trained in PA 330, shouldn't they be able to handle these boisterous people? And I'll volunteer my time to sit out here and stop the carts that don't have compliance numbers, especially on the front of their carts.
You know, I'm just saying, all I can relate to you is what the honest thing is. I can relate to you how people react to things. I can relate to you why you try to figure out why people don't do things. But all I can do is be honest with you and tell you what has happened in the past, what is working, and what I understand the improvement to be. All I can do is be fair in that regards. As far as the license plates, we understand it was going to touch every membership out here. That's why we try to work on the cost and the price and to make it easy, even with brackets. You know, even after the item here was published in the newsletter, I had 2 people come to me and say something about this. 2 people out of everybody here. My office is always open. My email is steve@sandypines. You know how many emails I got in reference to this? None. Is there a concern? Maybe with some. Am I in the office down there? Yeah. Can you stop in? Yeah. Got a question back here.
I'm not sure if this one's answered or not, but if we sell our lot, the license plates go with the lot, correct? Okay. The little sticker that goes on the steering wheel column, you said can't come off. So what do we do, what do they do about that? Because if we take our golf carts with us, what do they do to replace that little sticker?
Well, that sticker's going to stay on that golf cart with that.
Okay, but if they get the license plate, what do they do?
Well, the license plate's going to be the same one. So say if you hit site 100.
Okay, I guess what I'm saying is that sticker goes with them 2 license plates, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I sell my lot. I'm going to take my golf carts with me when I go.
Yep.
They're going to get the 2 license plates, but they can't get that sticker. So how do they replace that sticker?
The sticker is going to be picked up at public safety. They will have the stickers.
And what will that cost them?
If you're buying the plates for the first time for that golf cart, it's included in that license plate.
No, I'm saying if on my lot, okay, I have a lot.
Yep.
I have two sets of plates. I have 2
For one golf cart, right?
No. For
2 golf carts.
2 sets of plates for
Yep.
2 golf carts. I sell my lot, but I don't sell my golf carts with my lot. So I take my golf carts with me, I leave them my plates, correct?
That's correct.
But that sticker is not gonna come off that steering wheel
So
column.
that's still going to be registered to to that golf cart, to
Okay.
your next site, to those plates.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, how do they replace that sticker? That's gonna go with me,
How do the
new people.
All right.
And what will that cost them?
So have you taken both your golf carts to the next place? Or
I won't.
just-
I'm just taking them.
You're just taking them?
Yeah.
So they're gonna go down there, and you're saying they're gonna get new golf carts or
No,
what?
I'm saying they're buying my lot, and you're saying that, my understanding is the plates that go with our lot stay with our lot, correct?
They do.
Okay. What I'm saying is that little sticker that's on that pole, on our steering wheel pole, you say cannot come off.
That's right, it'll fall apart.
So the new owners have those 2 plates, but they don't have the sticker. What is that going to cost them to get that sticker to go with them to the plates that they have from me?
They're gonna have to re-register those plates, that site number, to their site, right?
Okay.
The most it would cost, I think the cost, they already have a.
Yep, I'm
So
talking about the
registration for that sticker is probably gonna be $5. I'd have to look back in the paperwork here to see, maybe you found something that isn't in there that I need to address.
But I mean, it makes sense. I
At
mean,
the most,
if
it
you're
would be
saying that sticker won't
$5.
come off.
It won't, it'll fall apart. It's
Okay,
made that way.
and that needs to off. But it needs to go with those plates.
No.
That's got your,
Excuse me, when you re-register, the people that are buying your place has to re-register the cart and the plates, and they will get a new sticker.
Okay.
That sticker will now be registered under those plates.
Okay,
Even though you still have that sticker, it will no longer be effective.
that's what my question is. And what is that gonna cost them to do that?
I think it's $5, isn't it?
Well, if it's registering, I think it's gonna be included in the.
Oh, is it? Okay, I know if one's damaged, if it gets torn off or whatever, there's a $5 fee.
If you send me an email, Steve at Sandy Pines, I'll look at it and get you the answer. But
I
it's
mean, I'm
it
just-
wouldn't be any more than $5 because that's the most.
That's all I was curious about, what it would cost the new owners, you know?
Hold on, we got, Steve, hold on, we got one over here, one over there, and then,
I feel like if you can't keep track of the numbers that are on the cards, now you gotta keep track of license plates transferred from the cards, and you gotta keep track of the stickers on the cards. I don't see where this is the least bit efficient. I just don't see where this is gonna make it so easy when now the numbers are supposed to be there and they can get a ticket at their site if they don't do it right. So why are you gonna try to keep track of transfer? Like if somebody could take their cards and not even think about it. And then somebody else, like they were talking about, could steal it. And now we have to have the stickers. And can you really follow and look at every column when you can't even look at the insurance tags that are on them now and see them? Are you gonna see the sticker on the column and follow up with that? I think you're asking for an upset group of people as well as an inefficient system that for some reason we're not voting on. I don't understand how it started, but we're not voting on it, and I don't see what's gonna help it. But you obviously do, and you obviously think you can find all those little stickers on columns and everything. I don't know. There's not an answer, it's just a comment.
go ahead, Cal. There's one over here too.
I came here to seek information, didn't come with any preconceived ideas. I know that I have great respect for those who have worked very, very hard to come up with a program, and I am coming to it with a fresh sense of, fresh eyes. So, you know, basically, the park has been in existence for 50 years next year. And I believe that many of these rules and procedures have been in place for 50 years. There's change taking place all over, and I think that this is an excellent program, and I can see how it will help a great deal because it's going to give greater visibility, and they will be able to find the violators a whole lot easier because everything will be standardized. In fact, I think it's going to be an asset in terms of the appearance of the golf carts because it will be uniform. I think it's a great program. Steve, I just got one quick question and I'll shut up. This is all about identification of carts and everything. I've only been in the park for 15 years, 16 years, something like that. And I've always been able to identify the PSOs. They do a heck of a job for us. But the stickers on the PSO cars now, 15 Wranglers can go by me. I can't tell which one is a PSO anymore. The stickers that you've got just about match the color of the truck. And in an emergency, a medical emergency, something, we need somebody fast, and we need to be able to identify that vehicle. You can't do that anymore. It's so close to the color of the vehicle.
We changed the graphics a bit on the cars. We have one new patrol vehicle, and just for the record, it is not a secret undercover vehicle.
I didn't say that.
Somebody put that on one of the forums, and I don't normally read it. There's no conspiracy there. The graphics simply aren't ready for it. So what we did is we worked with Rebel, we worked with Josh, and my plan right now is when I replace patrol vehicles, number one, they're going to be white because I can easily obtain white.
Thank you.
And we do have a new graphics package that's going on the vehicles, and there's quite a bit of thought that's gone into it. It's going to have number one, our number for service. So if you need assistance from our office, what number you can call, that number will be on the car. As far as the stuff that we have, existing vehicles, we did upgrade the graphics a little bit. The unit numbers are on there. There's AED stickers on there. But I agree with you that unless it's lit up and siren, you may not, if it's driving at you, you may not recognize it as a patrol vehicle. I can appreciate that, and about the only thing I can say is when you see the Subaru, the graphics that's on that, I'd welcome any input, but there's been a lot of thought that's gone into that, and like Josh is really good with the logos and the color coordination and so forth, and I'd welcome input. You folks can stop down the station, look it over, but it'll be a very, very visibly marked unit. Maybe not so much from the front.
We need to be able to identify.
Yep, I understand. Thank you.
We got one back here.
I just had a brief question in regards to, I think a lot of people were concerned with this $100, $200 and whatnot in terms of the different fees, and Rudy kind of brought up a question in regards to if something's damaged. And I believe you touched on it briefly in regards to, okay, why aren't we enforcing some of these people that come in? Is there a chance that maybe, because you're talking about ordering plates once a year, that maybe some of the fines that come in from actually being able to finally crack down on some of the violators, that we take that money, because I believe this is not meant to be a for-profit kind of event with the license plates, it's meant to be for uniform and control. What if we were to be able to take some of those fines and fees to help offset those costs? And if somebody has a temporary one, that we bundle it up and say, okay, we ordered 300 new plates this year, some were temporary, some were lost, damaged, stolen, because if this guy comes and runs into the back of my golf cart and damages my plate, maybe I get a temporary one, maybe I don't. And if we've got a few violators that we catch, is there a way to maybe put some of that money aside to offset the setup charges and maybe get plate costs down? So, because you had mentioned you wanted to kind of be able to take it on a case-by-case basis, Steve, and have a little grace offered, which I think is a great, but it also puts you in a little shady spot too if you don't want to offer grace, you know, that maybe we could do something to try and keep those costs down, so then people aren't worried about the fear of that what if happens if it's $100 or $200 if somebody breaks into my lot and decides to steal my plates, or these brackets that they give us are kind of junk and they don't hold up and all of a sudden they fall off and we don't know it, and somebody isn't honest and returns it. Is there a way to maybe potentially do something like that to get cost out? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't like relying on violations as a source of revenue because it's a painful source of revenue. We're not out here to generate revenue from violations. There's tremendous discretion that goes into violations and what gets issued and so forth. And there should be. In order for my staff to have a good relationship with the members, there's got to be an understanding that we're not out here like a cat in a tree ready to pounce on somebody for going 14 and 10 every time they do it, because we would not have the kind of relationship that I want my staff to have with you, the members. Like I think Steve mentioned before, the circumstances of my plate has been stolen. Those are things where, again, there's going to need to be discretion involved there. There's not an intention here to penalize people who come in and are the legitimate victim of a larceny. Do I foresee that happening? I don't. I really don't. The amount of larcenies that we have in the park is slim, and I'm proud of that. Do we have them? And in the off season, we will have a handful. But we're very vigilant about that, and we have a lot of resources in place to track down criminal activity like that with our access system, surveillance system, and patrols and so forth. So I don't see there being an issue with the larceny of plates. If I'm wrong, okay, and we'll look at each person on a case-by-case basis. If they were truly the victim of larceny, do we want to penalize them for having to replace the plate? No. And one other quick comment, there was somebody over here was talking about fasteners. fantastic way, if you're concerned about your plate being stolen. There's fasteners used in every correctional facility, like on your phones, your doors and everything. And they pretty much eliminate theft because nobody's walking around with a, who's a tool person in here, where there's the slot. I mean, nobody has those. Good luck getting that plate off, it's just not gonna happen. You can go down to a hardware store and buy a couple of those for probably less than $2. That'd be a great way if somebody was concerned about it, to just shut it right down.
No, and I definitely wasn't trying to tell you to go out and write a bunch of things, but based on the fees, it wouldn't take much, even if there was just a handful of violations, to offset that initial setup cost, because it would definitely get the cost down to where it's a little more affordable on a case-by-case basis to say, hey, we got them for this much, here you go, because we're not trying to profit, but they did cost us this much to get in, and we have to cover those costs, because the park should have to cover those.
I'd like to comment here, right here is exactly what Keith was talking about. These are tamper-proof. In other words, you have to have a tool to take these off. And we have spent a whole lot of time trying to come up with a bracket that isn't going to be junk. Because we understand that things happen and we don't want things falling off or anything like that based on what we have to do to keep people in without having to spend a whole lot of money. And these are really good brackets. They aren't going to fall apart, and they aren't going to fall off unless somebody doesn't attach them properly. And you can get these at most any place. Hardwares have them. I got this at AutoZone. This is something that if you're really having a problem with something being stolen, that will probably help, because they would have to go out and get this tool somewhere. They don't walk around with them, I'm sure. So this will help, I hope. This will help make people feel better. Okay, yeah. I'd like to, the people that have come in, Jeremy over at Superior has offered to put these plates on for nothing. He's doing it for free, which is a very gracious thing for him. He really feels that this is something he would like to do. Pardon? Oh, yes, and you have to bring the bracket and the plate, and they will install them for nothing.
I have a question, if I could, for Steve. I see all these fees, and I understand that. What happens to the people who get caught? This is happening on an ongoing basis. What happens to those people? They go to jail, they get fined and feed, and what happens to the bad guys, I would call them?
Caught doing.
They're bringing in carts. Bringing in a cart that's not supposed to be here, or it's a third cart, or they're from the outside. What happens to those people when you find them?
Not much. Here's the problem that we have. I'll use one case, and not mention any names or anything. So how do we find these people? Misconduct. They're out driving around with open containers, screaming expletives at people driving in an inappropriate and careless manner. We take a call, somebody says there's this card, maybe this number, and we try and find these guys. They flee. It's simply what they do. And once they're outside the park, we don't have any recourse. We have some investigative resource that we can utilize. We got to track them down outside the park and figure out where this car come from. We have a couple of spots where we know that this has been going on. What we did under these circumstances, and that's exactly what happened with this particular case, is there's a bunch of people involved in a whole bunch of misconduct that affects the health and safety of other residents. Alcohol involved, whole substance involved. Car tries to stop them. There's a certain type of salute that's given to the patrol when they light them, and they just take off and fled out of the park. We had an idea where they went. Well, the only recourse that we had there was to get law enforcement out here and no trespassing. That was it. So,
what percentage of those people are members over against outsiders who are not members?
as as far as who's coming in with the carts. And the ones we find are we don't find them all, put it that way. And I can tell you that already this year, we've encountered a not insignificant amount of violations involving members or associates where they're taking advantage of weaknesses in the current rule system and either bringing in extra carts, having other people bring in a cart, storing carts at somebody else's site, putting site numbers on it that don't belong to their site to skirt rules.
Are they penalized for that?
Sure, we catch you, absolutely. Yep, internally.
Once the plate is on the brake.
Hold on 1 second, please. Okay.
Once the plate is mounted on the sprocket, how is the bracket mounted onto our cart?
So, we'll get to the bracket in a little bit. Let's move on so we get through with this. There's a few more slides. So, limited number of transfers, license plates per calendar year. The park will permit you to register 2 golf carts. So, 2 golf carts per year. So if you sell, which limits you to sell both of your golf carts each year. So there's people out here that make a business of selling golf carts within the park. This is going to kind of limit that. So how many people really sell and buy more than 2 golf carts a year? It'd be pretty rare. Sale membership, we've kind of went through some of this with upon sale of membership, the responsibility of transferring the golf cart license plates remains between the buyer and the seller. If the buyer does not acquire the golf cart license plates with a sale, the buyer will be responsible in obtaining a temporary plate order and ordering a replacement plate at $200 each. Golf cart license plates will be included in the sales closing checklist as a reminder to buyer and seller. The buyer of the membership is responsible for transferring and recording golf carts registered under their name via member web access. Cost to transfer is $15. Distribution of license plates. Only the member owners of memberships will be permitted to obtain their membership golf cart license plates from August 2019. Members will have until August 2020 to be compliant. This will assist in the prevention of lines, provide easy access. Distribution will occur at the main gate, Phase 3 security station. This will permit people to pick them up near their area or weekends and after hours. Registration can be done online at a kiosk within the park or in person with form provided. All golf cart registration renewals will be billed April 2021. So the placement here, this is a placement that we are asking people to do. Front center, rear center, no less than 12 inches, but we have looked at other things that maybe the 12 inches thing, it may have to be as based on the floorboard of your golf cart because some golf carts are pretty low. So even though we have the rule out there, we might have to do a little bit of change in there to make things really work. Here's kind of the timeline. Basically, the next things happen, education on the new program process will run all summer. August 2019, you'll be able to pick up your plates if you want to get going then. January 15 of 2020, the annual renewal notices will go out. August 2020, golf cart registration, license plate installation deadline. All carts will be required to be registered with plates installed and avoid fines. And then January 15, 2021, annual renewal notices will include the annual charge for golf cart registration, sticker tabs, whatever, like this individual said, maybe a different name for that. So here's the bracket that we had up to a manufacturer. This is just one of them. It's kind of versatile. When I went out and looked at golf carts, it can be flipped up. It's kind of an L shape. It can go under the golf cart and be held up. You can mount it several different ways on the golf cart to make it happen. So, and if anybody has concerns with mounting of these plates, by all means, stop down and see me. We don't know everything. So, and I'll be, you know, these haven't been manufactured yet. This is just a drawing, so if we need to do something different, but I did go out in the park, hopped off, looked at a lot of golf carts, looked at various ways these could be used, and yeah, I think they'll probably work for most of them. But, you know, if you have a special circumstance, by all means, stop down and see me. You know, people also have said, well, I don't want to drill holes. You know, there's Velcro tape that you could attach with. Rod has some stuff that he uses for his plate right now on his golf cart. It seems to work, so, you know, there's multiple ways. But if you truly have an issue, you know, stop down, see me. I'm not a golf cart mechanic, but we can try to figure it out. So.
Excuse me, Steve, just a second. I'm at N356, and you can stop at my place, and I will look at it also. Steve and I are both open to looking at anybody's cart in case they have a problem.
I had a question over here, Steve.
Is there a cost to that bracket? Does that bracket include the license?
There is, I think, that bracket, you're probably looking at probably $6 or $7. We don't have a final price. That would be each probably, yeah. But, you know, they do have other brackets online. You know, I went and looked at Amazon. You know, it really depends. I've seen brackets as much as $62, $63 a piece. That's crazy. But, you know, some people may want to put that on if they don't want to drill holes, if they want to do something different. Maybe that's no money for them, but to me that's a lot of money. But
Oh, hold on, I'm coming.
Just a quick question. Say I'm driving around the park and I find a cart that I want to purchase. I now have 3 carts. How long am I going to be able to have time to sell that 3rd cart so I don't get, or will there not be a penalty for that type of situation?
Well, for one thing, when you buy the new cart, you're gonna have to transfer the plate, and you'll have to have a new sticker put on the VIN, and then your other plate will have to have those plates, or the other cart that you're buying, will take off of your cart now and put them on the new cart, and your cart won't have any plates on it.
Right.
So therefore, they can't drive it around.
No, but on my site, I will have 3 carts. How long will I be able to get to sell that 3rd cart?
well, if you have 3 carts, then you're not in compliance with park rules. You can only have 2.
That's
So,
why I'm wondering, how long do I have to get that 3rd one?
there is no time. You have to be in compliance with the park rules, so.
You have to sell it before you purchase the
Right. Yeah, or take it outside.
Bigger outside.
That's always been 2 carts per site. That's nothing new. That's same thing. Because you know what'll happen is people say, well, yeah, I bought a new cart. That's my 3rd cart. And people, unfortunately, people always say, yeah, this is what I'm doing, but maybe it's not true. Maybe they're just using 3 carts. So, but unfortunately.
Are there any other parks in the country that does a license plate project like this?
I really don't know.
We took, there are. The original thought of having this came from a member who was at a park in Florida, and I'm aware of at least one golf cart registration program that was pulled, that I saw anyway, from another park that required registrations, and actually I think that registration was a lot longer form than what ours is. But
I do know of municipalities and different places and parks that require registration of golf carts. I don't know if they're required. There's multiple that do that. I don't know of ones that require plates, but Gene may know some.
So we're a trendsetter in the United States.
no, there's other places that do it, as I said.
Well, my point was to actually be in contact with these other places, and they probably could have had every question already answered in advance. You guys should have came prepared by talking to that park or community. And again, you guys all said that this started back in June. To have this meeting a year after you guys started talking about it, and the policy already gone into place, I think that was probably another black eye on this whole process.
That's the board.
And Gene referenced that, we vote for our board, which is true, but if there's things going on behind closed doors that we don't know about, and I think this might be one of those instances, that you present it to us as the fact of, decision's already made, take it or leave it. This right now is just, and that's why it's turned into a complaint fest.
Well, as I say, perspective is not necessarily reality, and your perspective is not necessarily reality, because from the beginning, we have been very transparent that we were going to be doing something like this. It was going to be looked into, and through that off-season, that's when a large portion of this was done. In the spring, they worked on the final draft that finally went to the board, and the board had it for probably a month and a half in one version, and then that draft was somewhat changed, so they got the last draft probably 2-3 weeks before they were asked to look at it. So I mean, it's been a process that is typical of operations.
I'm in operations,
Yeah.
so I get it.
Yeah.
It's just, a lot of things on the forums and everything else, everybody hate them or like them, whatever it is. It's just, I think there needs to be a little bit more transparency. I think I only see one board member here. Ellen's right in front of me.
Dennis is in the back.
Is he? Okay. So just transparency.
On those lines, I have only been on the board since September, and we've discussed this, and there was presentations made in open meetings that were recorded and put on YouTube. And there was an article in the Footprints. We're trying to be transparent, but people have to make the effort to read those things and watch those videos. But it's out there. It wasn't a secret, it was no closed door.
Right, it takes two to communicate. All right. Got one over here.
When was the first word that it would be requiring a physical metal license plate set? You can read everything that had been published prior to that, saying that a new system was coming, that it was being discussed, why it needed to be discussed, but never before did I see anything, and I listened to everything and read everything, did I hear that it would be a physical metal plate.
That's probably very true. It's because there was no preconceived ideas going into it. It was identify the issues, find the best solution, implement the program. That's the way it went. So when it came to finding the solution, that's when these other options, or there could have been a number of options, I'm not sure how many they were looked over. The best option was picked to do what we wanted it to do. And then implementation is where we're at right now. So that's why you may not have, that's probably why you didn't hear license plate in back last June.
I've got two items here. One item is that I used to own 2 golf carts. I'm a charter member, 50 years or whatever. I had 2 golf carts. I gave one of them to one of my kids, and we've got 4 family members in Sandy Pines. Now, the one that I gave a golf cart to wants only 1 golf cart. How can I have that, transfer that back to me now without, how do I go about it? I just give it to her before, and then she paid the registration fee, and now she doesn't want that other cart, she's gonna give it back to me. Do I have to re-register, or what's the deal?
How many golf carts do you have? Rudy, 1?
I have 1.
So all you would need to do is she needs to take it off her account via the web access or by paper. And then you need to register it 2 years via web access.
Okay, another thing, I'm not really 100% for license plate, but I want to tell you that these people here, the administration, Steve, all you guys have done one heck of a good job trying to make us compliant, trying to make this a happy place that we are living in. I think we should give them all a round of applause.
I would just like to address what you were talking about. We have contacted, in fact we actually got a bracket from Jeremy over at Superior, and we brought it before the Safety and Security Committee, and because he deals with that, he's not the only one. And also Scott deals with it. So we have talked to people that actually deal with this. And Scott was actually the one that brought the whole thing up. And Jeremy, where he is, they have to have a light on the back. And this was thought of something that we might have to do. But we decided that it's just too much of a hassle for the membership, because some carts don't have wiring back there and it'd just be too difficult. So we did drop that, and instead they are now reflective, okay? We have looked, I can't count the hours that Steve and the PSO officers and everybody else has spent on this. And it's not something that just came up out of the clear blue. I know that Gene had mentioned it back in August. This had been brought forth before the Safety and Security back in August, or well, actually before August. It was when Steve and I actually started on this, and then of course it just kept going. And it was the people in Safety and Security that weren't happy with the plate that Jeremy had provided for us. And the reason for that was that we didn't want you to have to go through all that hassle. And we tried to make it as simple as we can and as easy as we can. And it's been a real struggle and a real project. And, people say to me, they say, well, how come this is all kept secret? Well, it wasn't kept secret. I know Gene had mentioned it last year, and I just don't understand, when people come up and they say, this is a problem, this is something we have to look into, nobody ever wants to come forward and say, I have an idea. That would help us. But when people come out at the very end and they criticize and say, well, everything's being hidden and all this stuff, but nobody wants to come and tell us their ideas. And I don't think that's being fair to administration. It's not being fair to the PSO officers. It's not being fair to even the people membership, because all people have ways of telling and explaining things, and these things that they come out and they say to us, you know, this is something we could look into. We can't think of everything. And that's the reason we need your help. We don't need the criticism, we need the help so that we can make it, so that it's something that everybody can be happy with. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that this is something that we have worked very hard on. And we tried to make it as easy as we can. And that's all I can say. I hope it. Yeah, but see, you know, sometimes it feels like it. You know, when you spend so much time and energy on trying to do something, and when people say something like that to us, and you know, then you wish, you know, where were you? Where were your suggestions that might help us? That's all. That's what really feels bad about it.
Well, I appreciate your comments that you made today. If you didn't want to make comments in the crowd, we'll be here for another few minutes. By all means, come talk to us.
Yeah, I had a couple questions here in regards to the form itself, the registration form. I noticed, you know, it requires a significant amount of data, which I imagine is going to take a considerable amount of time to maintain, including, you know, up to registering what color car seat you have, which seems kind of, you know, excessive. But then I noticed you didn't even have the year of the car in the form. It seems like that would be a pretty important item to have. You may want to take a look at that. But second thing was, it mentions proof of insurance. Are you going to require anything other than just checking that you have it, or do we have to have a proof?
We're not doing anything different with the insurance.
Okay.
Right now, you're signing a thing saying you have it.
You have it, okay.
Yeah.
And then the third thing was that it says you're going to hold Sandy Pines harmless by bringing, you know, if you operate a car, you agree to that. Weren't required to have that before. I don't like holding Sandy Pines harmless if I have a Sandy Pines vehicle hit me or something. So I'm kind of object to that being on that form and agreeing to that.
I think that refers to your ownership and who you have. It's a hold harmless clause.
Right.
And even when kids do the golf cart safety packet and do that, there's a hold harmless clause there, which really, that's exactly what it is. It has nothing to do with if Sandy Pines, one of our Sandy Pines vehicles would run into you. We're not accepting any liability for you and your family's operation of that golf cart. That's basically what that means.
And I don't back here.
I just got one comment. When I came here earlier today, I was a little upset with it, but I think it's probably a pretty good thing that we go forward this. Every motorized vehicle, almost in every state of the union, they have uniformity as far as their plates go. Whether it be a weight runner, or a boat, or a car, or truck, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do the same thing too, and hopefully eliminate a lot of this crap coming in from out of the park. Second comment is, we all belong to different villages and communities and cities and state. We vote people to represent us in all these different parts of our country. We got the board here. Let's not slam them because they're trying to do a good job. If you don't like what they're doing, vote for somebody else or get the job yourself.
I have a comment here. We're gonna wait a year for these new tags coming out. But in the meantime, between now and then, say right at the ranger station where there's a three-way stop, could we have someone out there, your car, in the meantime, someone comes by, they stop at that stop sign, have an officer or a PSO guy there to do a quick
look at everybody's cart in compliance for not having the stickers on the carts right now, not having the 3-inch numbers on the carts, because there's numerous carts here in that violation of not having the stickers on the carts and not having those 3-inch numbers. So you see them all driving all through the park right now. At a choke point there, at a choke point where they cross the road. I mean, 15 minutes a day or a quick time to let people know that we are trying to enforce the existing rules of tag compliance. Because right now, I see numerous violations like you all have running through the park all the time and excessively violating the speed limits, because I live close to the speed sign over there by the ropes course, and I've seen 22 miles per hour kids driving by there. That's rather dangerous in this park. Thank you very much.
I'm not in favor of checkpoints. I think that they're intrusive. I think that just to randomly stop every car that goes past a certain point. There's some states that did that with drunk driving, and there were some constitutional issues. I'll tell you right now, I'm not in favor of randomly stopping every car to find out if they're in compliance.
All it is observation that you're not in compliance. Next car goes by, you're not in compliance. Get your car together. That's all it is.
If we
not to
see-
say every car, you walk around, but you're not good, you're not good, you're not good, get it fixed. That's all it is.
Again, I'd look at that as a checkpoint, and I would feel if I am in compliance, to have to be stopped and have somebody inspect my car, not to mention the backup that it would cause and the toll on man hours, because yeah, you're gonna find violations, but violations have to be viewed against what else is happening in the community. So if we have time to do traffic enforcement, whether it's speed enforcement, if more vehicles go by us without a vehicle registration sticker, do we stop them? Yes. Do we always stop them? No. It's always got to be looked at in light of what else is going in the park, and how much time do we have to be. Traffic enforcement is touching that. You folks do not want us out there stopping you every time you go by us for going 14 or 15 miles an hour. That much I can tell you. You definitely don't want us to stop you and issue you a violation. There's some folks that may want that to happen to somebody else, but they sure don't want it to happen to them. So there's got to be a lot of discretion when it comes to the enforcement of traffic and so forth. I have one other quick point that Ken made, and I just want to follow up on that. Thanks for your comments, Ken. And any place you go in the United States, there's a standardized plate system. This is one of the core issues that we have, and it affects health and safety in the park. If you folks witness a crime, reckless driving, use of a controlled substance, how are you going to identify that person to us? It's going to be with, here's the card number. I challenge you after the meeting today to go out there and look. A car goes by, how quickly can you identify that number? Where is the number? Is that obstructed by a backpack? Is it obstructed by a basketball? What color is it? What's the color of the numbers? There is nothing standard on there. That's why the state of Michigan and the motor vehicle code is what it is. You're required to have a plate affixed that's a specific size on a specific background with specific colored letters with a specific colored tab to identify whether the plate is current or not in a specific location. And if a car goes by and that plate is not there, or it's obstructed, or it's not visible, then a police officer who's working traffic is going to stop that car. So if your car is stolen, do we have a lot of car theft? We don't, but we have several every year. And typically they involve joyriding. We're able to fairly quickly recover the car. Or we had a couple of circumstances last year that clearly these were folks that came in from outside the park, stole a specific car. If you're that car owner, one of the most important pieces of information we need is what is your card? Who has that information handy? Same thing would happen if your house was burglarized. What was stolen? Did you ever take an inventory? Did you write down serial numbers of your valuables? Did you photograph them? Did you videotape them? I haven't. I should, right? But probably most of us haven't. If we have that information on file, we know immediately what make, what model, what's affixed to the steering column, which if somebody steals it from the outside, they don't know what that is, and they're probably not going to take the time to remove it. That's an identifiable number that may assist in the recovery of the car. So all these things are, you know, there's compelling reasons why this is happening. And I want to say on behalf of in particular Rod, because Rod's a volunteer. I'm in that office. Rod's in there 4 or 5 times a week, and he's volunteering his time. He has rolled his sleeves up and done the research along with Steve. But you have to have well into the triple digits of hours. And I would like to see Rod get a round of applause for the unbelievable amount of man hours that he's put into this with only the interest of the members in the park.
State that you are not giving tickets for speeding? I mean, if I'm doing 15, 16, 17 miles an hour, that you're giving me free rein to just go?
Go for it.
No, but I'm just saying my car doesn't go that fast. But he said we are not giving tickets.
Speed
No,
limit at the park
that's-
is 10 miles per hour, remember the.
No, I'm not saying that if you're going consistently 15 miles an hour,
You're not gonna stop.
that you will definitely or categorically not get a ticket. Do we write every card in here for going 15 miles an hour? Probably everyone in here would have a couple of tickets already, right? That's just what we really look for is, I think that any violation's got to be weighed against, was there a significant health and safety issue? So if you have a motor vehicle in here that weighs 4,000 or 5,000 pounds and that car is going 35, 40 miles an hour, passing, I mean, this is a immediate health and safety issue and it's got to be dealt with harshly. The carts, most of them don't have speedometers. A lot of the speed violations that we see are not intentional and they have to be viewed against other factors. How much traffic was the person observing a safe following distance? The point I'm trying to make is there's got to be a reasonable standard employed when it comes to speed, and the answer is not just to write violations to everybody for going 10 over.
But the way it was stated is.
I will not guarantee you'll never get a ticket for going 15. How's that?
Mine doesn't go
Hold on, she's got the mic here.
I guess I just sort of, meeting's wrapping up, and I guess I'd just sort of like to conclude with this. I know a lot of the membership comes up the issue of voting on things, on many things, and this is just one issue where a lot of the membership thinks we should have voted. But when you look at it, first of all, the issue had to be identified. Are we in any position, are we going to collect several hundred people together to talk about the issue and identify it? Are we going to have several hundred people meet together to see what the progress is, to find the plan? We have 50 people maybe in this room, and we've been here 2 hours, and I know a lot of us, when we leave, we're not going to be able to repeat everything we heard to everybody else and how this program is going to work, because we're not going to remember all of it. So how are we going to gather a membership of several hundred people together and educate them so that they have an informed voting skill on all of our issues? We can't do that. It's impossible, and which is why we have a board. And we can always talk to our board members. They're always available. Our administration is wonderful about being available. Voices can be heard, but it doesn't always have to be heard through the voting on the issue.
Well spoken.
And if I can speak to that too, we are videotaping all of these meetings. That's why we're really adamant about trying to get everybody on the mic so that when other people that aren't here see it, they can hear and understand what's going on. Channel 27.2, because our channel lineup changed this year, we're now up and running with video. So we're going to be broadcasting this as soon as we get it edited and we post it online. We'll alert membership online with that through our e-news, and we'll put that out everywhere that we have it. But if you want to watch this or have other people watch this, we're going to have this on later this coming week. If we have time, it might even be on later today if everything works right. But that will be on the channels, and that's also on our YouTube page. At the bottom of our website, there's a link to our YouTube page, and you go to our YouTube page, and in chronological order is our board meetings, the PA 330 meeting, and that you can watch at your leisure. You can put it on your car, and you can listen to it. Don't watch it while you're driving, but you can listen to it, so that's another great way to get that information. But all that stuff is there, and we're trying to give it to you in numerous ways so that you do have a chance to see it.
Okay, we're gonna take one more question, because it's right at noon, so,
All
and
right,
then
I
we're
have a
done.
very simple question. I'm not sure if I missed it in the beginning, but have we seen this license plate, what it looks like? Was it on there earlier?
It's on.
Yeah, it was on there earlier. It's a white Sandy Pines plate. It's got the logo up top. There's a sticker, and then there's 4 numbers,
So
black
it
numbers.
is white, so we'll coordinate with everything.
It's color coordinated. I made sure
All right.
before Steve went through that it met our marketing guidelines.
That's all I was worried about.
He's
But
got
I
it.
needed to match my car.
Steve is very concerned with things looking pretty, so he wasn't gonna let that go. It
Just like he's trying to get it up right now again, but as we close this thing down, because again, it's noon, I want to thank Rod and Steve for spearheading this thing, for Dennis for his part in encouraging them to go on to keep, and Chris for all your help in making this happen. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your help.